Hello, everyone. So for today's class, we are going to be going over some of the Earth systems. More specifically, we're going to be getting into the relationships between air masses, pressure systems, and frontal boundaries, which result in severe storms and other weather conditions. So today, for our standard, it is 6.ess2.6. Explain how relationships between the movements and interactions of air masses, high and low pressure systems, and frontal boundaries result in weather conditions and severe storms. So, what do you know, or what are we going to know? So these are just some questions I've come up with for you kind of just to have in the back of your mind and be going over while we're going through these slides. So, what does movement of air masses cause? What are high and low pressure systems? And how does frontal boundaries result in the weather? So, these questions I kind of just want you to keep in the back of your mind. And as we go through the slides, you know, hopefully by the end of this lesson, you're going to have a better understanding and be able to answer these questions. So, for starters, what are air masses? Air masses are huge bodies of air that form over water or land in a tropical or polar region. So, air masses are large bodies of air and they sit in one place for many days at a time. As it sits, it is able to take on some of the characteristics of the land or the water that it is that's below it. So, as these masses move, it also brings those characteristics, excuse me, along with it. So, temperature and humidity, dry air, humid, all that is going to be traveling through as these masses move. So, when the winds move those air masses, they carry the weather conditions from where they formed to a completely new region. So for an example, we are in East Tennessee, right? So if a hurricane was to happen on the East Coast and it come up this way or towards us, that would be an example of a mass carrying uh, those types of weather conditions towards us. Now hurricanes are quite slow, so we wouldn't necessarily be getting it the same day. It'd probably be days later, but we'll get some of that backlash, some of the rain and the storms that happen days after it has already hit on the East Coast. So our next thing, what are high and low pressure systems? So this is when warm air rises, cold air sinks, and the earth spins around. So this causes the high pressure and the low pressure. More specific, high pressure is when the weather is nice and clear outside. The winds are usually moving in a clockwise direction. Low pressure systems are usually when the winds are going in a counterclockwise direction. As this happens, this is when you tend to get more rain and storms. Um, Frontal boundaries. Frontal boundaries are formed when there's a separation of air masses. These will result in the formation of clouds or precipitation. There's four different types: warm front, cold front, stationary front, and occluded front. I have some pictures over here of the red and blue that signify the hot and cold, and you can see how they move on each one of those fronts. Also, I have a little video here. I just thought it was a cute little video. So that was just a cute little video, and it kind of went more in depth with the different type of fronts. So just a little more. Warm fronts are when air masses travel over cold air masses. This creates long periods of precipitation and warm temperatures. As the video said, these tend to move a little more slow. Cold fronts, the video also mentioned that they tend to go faster. So this is when cold air masses collide and slide under warm air, pushes that warm air up, and this is when our thunderstorms or sometimes even tornadoes happen. Stationary is when there's no movement between either warm or cold air masses. This also causes long periods of precipitation. Occluded is when the air masses, or the cold air mass, pushes into the warm. Um, that's already behind a cooler air mass, and that warm air is pushed into that cooler air. So this also causes long periods of precipitation. So let's review a little bit. So these are two pictures. One is showing a thunderstorm, and one is showing it nice and clear and pretty outside. So can anybody take a guess of which one they think is high and which one they think is low? Right, yes. So the first picture shows low pressure systems. We have low pressure when thunderstorms and different types of weather is going on. High is when it's pretty and clear and sunny outside. For the last thing we're going to do today, I have a little worksheet for us. So it says for this activity, we're going to be describing the 4 different types of fronts, and then we're going to draw a picture of what we think each front should look like. You're going to need glue, scissors, and a scratch piece of paper. So what we're going to do, you can see I already have the examples right here for you. But the first thing we're going to do, I have this worksheet. And yes, it's just a worksheet, but we're going to add a little bit more because I want you to be able to interact with it and, fold and see, and that way the brain can understand it a little bit better. So, you're going to fill all this out and you're going to cut each box. And then what we're going to do is take a scratch sheet of paper and we're going to do a burrito fold. Kind of just like that. And you see, now you have your little folds. So the next thing you're going to do is on the front, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut into 4 pieces. So now you're able to open and see behind each front. That's where our fronts will be. And under that, this is where we're going to put the definition, or we're going to describe it. So after you do that, you can cut it out off the paper, or if you want, you could just go ahead and write it on this foldable. And then what I want to do to make it a little bit more is cut that into 4 as well. So then we have it like that, and we can open it again. And on this very last part right here, this is where we can put our picture. So when it's all said and done, it's going to look a little bit like this. You can see I have the front, and then each of the fronts, you open it up, and there's the definition, or how I described it. And then you open those up, and under each one is the picture. Now you can just do arrows or something like that. Your pictures don't have to be perfect, but it can look a little like that. When you're done, I want you to take this foldable, glue it into your interactive notebook. That way you can be able to look back into your notes and you can see, and it'll help you get a better understanding. Um, so also we need a title, so you can title it Weather Fronts. And after you're done, you can pack up and get ready to go for the day. So I hope you all have a good day and let me know if you have any questions.